kings of the world.
Yeah, you can't touch us, bitch. I'm about to do a dick reveal on
Here's
stream.
to
I'm that big.
success. Yes.
Indeed. I'll cheers a Pabst Blue Ribbon to that. I think of you when I saw this can because of the bottom.
Oh, dude. That's right. You know, whenever I use that, we might have spoken about this before. Whenever I use the eye, the all-seeing eye, I think people often will say, like, if I do it in some people's chat, they'll be like, "Oh yes, the Illuminati, yes." But in my mind, I never think the Illuminati. I'm just like, it's kind of more like the Eye of Sauron for me. It's like, yeah, I see you. I see that. Think about, you know, like it's like a variant on Kappa in my mind.
I agree, actually, but it's very much you. Nobody else I know uses it.
No one uses it. It's probably gonna get banned soon.
Yeah, exactly. Civs.
What is it? What?
Simp incel virgin.
Simp incel virgin.
Yeah, so Civ.
Dude, this has been ever since I found this out. This recent banning of the 3 words.
And
I found out
for sure
yesterday in stream. Spudsy, my mod, told me. I just sort of went, what? I thought maybe he was joking. I thought maybe he was sort of like being hyperbolic to say, yeah, they would do that, you know, it's kind of like a bit of a bit. Yeah. And then it turned out to be real. It's real. I subsequently said simp, virgin, incel a lot, without really thinking about the consequences.
Yeah.
Man, I don't even know where to begin with this. Like, it's a path we've seen. It's not the first step we've seen of this type of movement. But I mean, my stream, I just stopped playing and we went into just chatting for like an hour, where people sort of had a bunch of takes on it, and it was really refreshing because, you know, ultimately Twitch is about the people in your chat or in your community, or just, you know, people around you. But we are all affected by these things, these things from above. Were you as bothered by this as I was?
You know, I've taken a very sort of, I got obsessed. I'm not afraid to say this on the internet. I got obsessed with the 2013 to 2017 rise of Jordan Peterson / feminism / transgenderism / human rights thing. I got really opinionated about that.
Yep.
And my viewpoints have often kept the same conclusion, but have taken radically different paths on how to get there. Radically, right? Like I've gone from one end to the other entirely almost. And when it comes to this stuff, I've tried to teach myself, take a step back, right? What does this truly mean to me, right? If you really read the wording of it, and my brother Bizza had brought this up, who was on this earlier, it says clearly in the TOS that if these words are used as an insult, then that's a problem. Okay. So, like, I think I can still drop into your chat and be like, "What's up, you fucking simp?" I think that's fine.
Well, that's okay in my chat. So then is the person
right.
who determines it being an insult?
Correct.
That gets a little weird then, right? Like, so if I like decide that actually like fuck Cranberry, I could then be like, he called me a simp. Like I'm sure I would be the victim then, right? Because,
ladies and gentlemen, on the back of this envelope is my name is Porto's address. So if he bans me for saying anything, I know where he lives.
Yeah, he does.
But anyway,
but you know what I mean? Like, is that?
I do know what you mean.
Like, where does so that's, I mean, it's at least they've left room for interpretation.
I'm not a fan of any censorship in any way, shape, or form. I think it's all bad. I think we should let the viewers dictate what it is they want. You know, not to gush too much about it, but like, this is something else that I love about playing and existing within the cyberpunk universe is address a lot of these topics, because this is precisely what cyberpunk is supposed to dictate, is this horrible corporate future where we have all kinds of cool things like metal implants, and we can our phone is in our head and shit like that, but they're used in such a way to, like, we become slaves to this consumerism. I'm against all sort of censorship, but what do I really feel about it is that typically I take a step back and I think to myself, how is this going to affect me? The answer is probably not at all. I typically am not one to walk into somebody's chat and call them a simp without understanding that that's something that is between us. Or even if I haven't, maybe it's not between us. I don't think I've ever asked you if it's okay if I walk into your chat and say, BRB, got to go come for a second. But I do it because it's edgy.
I know why you're leaving to come. Why don't you come right
exactly. But it's like, okay, I know that there's a certain level, there's a certain boundary here. If it is pushing the boundary, then I know that it's not way left field. Right. So I kind of approach every streamer like that too. I got to know you a little bit. Where are your very vague boundaries, and how can I push those?
Well, yeah, and that's just human. That's social interaction, right? That's social intelligence. I'm not going to go in to somebody's chat who I don't know and try and make them laugh if I don't know what they find funny.
I don't treat myself as a citizen of the internet that is anonymous and able. I treat myself as a citizen of the world who is visible and accountable.
That means you have a sense of conscience.
Well, I hope it means I have a sense of cranberry pudding, and that's all I can really say. And not just cranberry pudding, but Adam. I have a sense of myself and who I want to be, and I think that I would like anybody, whether that be my friends that I see in person and can touch and feel, and my friends that I have on the internet that haven't ever seen my face, because there are some now. There are still some that have never seen my face that I talk to on Discord or whatever. That's the same person.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what I try to do. And so far, I would expect my local grocery store to kick me out if I started calling everybody, "You're a fucking simp, you fucking incel virgin." I would expect them to kick me out. So whereas I don't think it's a good thing, and I think that I should be able to call somebody a simp incel virgin at my grocery store, I expect it.
Righto. Yeah, right on. But you know, I think the notion of space is weird though, because what you're saying there is, you know, the supermarket is a public space, right?
Sure.
And to an extent, Twitch is a public space, but I more view, like, for example, when I do a stream, I almost more view it as like people coming to my house. In a weird way. It's like an open house party or something like that.
But a grocery store is not a public place.
It's a private business, I guess, but it's
you're going to their place to shop.
Okay, yeah, good point. I guess it's a more legislated place then. I don't know. I just feel a little weird about the legislation of what I conceive as my space in a weird way.
Okay, well then that's fair. And what I will say to this is I have absolutely no concern throughout all the memeing, and like, you know, I let a lot of shit fly on my channel. I let a lot of shit fly. You know, even somebody the other day in my Discord made a really like tasteless gay joke. And I said, like, I didn't even ban them right away. And I just was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, you know, like have at it. Explain yourself, right?
Yeah, where's this coming from?
And then they responded with an N-word meme, and I was just like, okay, well, I see what you're trying to do now, right?
I see that you're
so ban.
Yeah.
But like, you know, I still think there's a lot of room for intention. I still think there's a lot of room, especially in channels of our size. Honestly, this isn't going to affect us one bit.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
You reckon? I hope you're right. I mean, obviously we're not like atop they don't have like a fucking whiteboard with our faces on it or our names on it, like top targets. But like,
I also don't think people visit our channel that are going to report us.
Well, I mean, they don't until they do.
That's true, but I think that I have enough faith in myself to read the room.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I guess it kind of probably feels right now like I'm trying to like push back and argue
it doesn't.
with you. I'm not.
No, I think this is an important
voicing,
conversation to have.
Just voicing my concerns.
Yeah, no.
Here would be my other concern then, because it is possible. I do see that it is possible that this won't actually directly affect us. I guess probably my main concern is where does this go based on the basis of these 3 words being banned? Like, what does this set a precedent for? Because I was having the chat, right, where with people who were talking about, yeah, I've been called, people have dropped N-bombs on me and that made me feel terrible. And that to me is a completely different matter, because that's something that's been used to hurt people historically.
Sure.
And so like,
sure.
I get that being a no-no. I'm for that.
Mm-hmm. Why is it a no-no though? Why can't a black guy come into my chat and...
Well, it's a no-no in terms of you run a much higher risk of causing damage with it, I think.
There you go. It's all risk mitigation.
Yeah. And obviously there are situations where you can do it, right? Like, but okay, for someone who is not a thing, for someone who is not insert any kind of negative adjective about a group of people based on like, let's say identity things.
Sure.
And I'm not a big proponent of identity politics. I think it's very, I'm going to risk really glossing over this, but like, I think it's used in ways that are very disingenuous. But still, that being said, for one person to come in and say, you're shit or haha at somebody else based off something that they have, that they didn't have a choice over or whatever. I think that's generally just a fuckhead move.
I agree.
Whether or not
move?
I don't know if anything is bannable, but if I had to choose between that being bannable and someone calling a simp bannable, I would choose that. Like, I would say if there's
that's for sure.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it's a definitive ban. So like, I don't know if banning is the answer to any of it, but
right.
But this move now, I can see an argument for it at least. I guess, like I can see why there's an argument for some of those, some of the pantheon of words that have fucked people for a long time. But what's this shit here? It's simp, virgin, and incel?
Well, I think that we're people that don't really visit these top Twitch channels like Asmongold or Pokimane or these places where,
Who that?
Yeah. A lot of people spend their time, right? Like that's like at any given time, Asmongold or Pokimane, who I follow them just to see.
Yeah.
They have when they're both online, they're capturing 100,000 viewers.
They get 100K, like they get like 50K each.
Yeah, something like that. So in their chat, oh fuck, in their chat, shit can get toxic.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's not only internet anonymity syndrome, it's also herd mentality. I think that ganging up on somebody in general is just a slimy human move, right?
Yeah, I agree.
It's just incredibly slimy, whether you like them or not, whether they've done something shitty or not.
Mm.
I'm a big fan of solving my problems myself. If I don't like somebody, I try my best, and I have done it in the past. And if anybody sees this at some point and is like, nah, man, that one time you said this thing to that person and it screwed, like, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I try my best to go mano y mano. It's like, if I got a problem, if I think you're this or this, I'm going to tell you that to your face, honestly, but not going to do it in an internet playground. That's weak and cowardly.
It's very weak. It's very weak.
And I just think that, like, how do you, if I'm Twitch, how do I curate a place that feels welcoming? Not safe and comfortable. I mean, welcoming to the masses and the people who are going to spend the money.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily the best way to think about things, but that's what they're thinking about.
Yeah. Do you think? I get it. So what? Okay. All right. So the implication then is that Twitch's biggest market are simp version incels.
Let's just go right back to the start here. Twitch is creating a god that is accessible to people. Twitch is creating a new opiate that is easily digestible to many people. And the truth is, I don't want to say that Twitch's audience is simp incel virgins. I am none of the three. But and I know lots of people on the three that are none of the three. That are on Twitch that are none of the three. And my mom is on Twitch. Like,
but I don't think we're the majority.
We're not.
There's probably 100,000 people like us, maybe 200,000. But overall, the only reason I say this, and sorry for butting in, the only reason I say this is because the mere fact, and this just actually, you put this thought in my mind, the mere fact that they're trying to ban, if the goal is money and the goal is to protect or make people who give the most money feel welcome, then they're going to remove the words that are used to attack the people that make them the most money, right? It logically follows that those people, therefore, the biggest money makers for Twitch are simp incel virgins, or people who would be referred to derogatively as those things.
It's a famous quote. I can't remember who said it, but if you want to know who's in power, look at who you can't criticize.
Yeah.
Is that Voltaire?
Yeah,
was that Voltaire?
Yeah, I think so. That was actually posted. It was up on my wall at work in this year. I don't know who put it up there. It's very, it's provocative.
But it's true. So yeah, exactly. Man, maybe. But to answer your initial question, I'm not worried about it one bit.
Yeah.
I have what I try to make a non-arrogant yet extremely confident faith in my ability to be a cooperative and caring and intelligent human being on this planet on any platform that comes my way. And I will live and die by that.
Yeah.
So have at me, folks.
No,
I'm a simp incel virgin. Get on it.
I really like where you're coming from. And here's the thing, right? Like, I don't hate any people for those things. Like
Imagine hating somebody for being a virgin.
Dude, I would have hated myself for the first 9 years of my life.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I was waiting for that.
No. But no, there's nothing wrong about those things. You know what though? Like, maybe there is. Sometimes I think that simp shaming might have a positive effect.
I hear you, but I don't think it does, because I think that what they do is they run comfort into the arms of the people that they simp for.
Yeah.
So I don't think it really is. I think that it's the same, like whoa, parallels to fat shaming.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not about making fun of, it's not about shaming, it's not about telling, like I've dealt with weight issues myself. Fat people know they're fat. You don't have to tell us, right? We wake up with it. We can't we can't move the same way.
Yeah.
Don't worry. But the remedy to bullying should not be, okay, you can't say that anymore. The remedy to bullying should be, let's just tell people how, like in the case of simping, let's just tell people how much of an epidemic loneliness is in the world nowadays.
Yeah.
Let's just
get to
talk
the root
about
of the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's not point fingers at people who are trying their best in this ridiculously rapid changing landscape to get some fucking companionship.
Yeah, yep. To have a sense of companionship and belonging. And it's a fine line as well, dude, because look, to an extent, I would classify myself as having used some of these simp attributes this year to remedy a sense of loneliness for myself, not on a sexual or romantic level. That's a difference, but on a platonic level, I think, and on a human level. And so I don't think it's necessarily bad. It's more one of those things that, like, if I had a friend who I really cared about, who I thought was kind of being tricked into this self-deceit, or they trick themselves into this thing where they think that they're like gaining attention from somebody who
they're having grandiose thoughts about,
and that's actually just bleeding them dry financially. Like, I would
or emotionally.
Yeah, I would want to speak to them about it. For
sure.
That said, having chat be like simp, like, that's not going to help.
No, it's not. It's just going to make those people feel like, because the person they're simping to is obviously going to say, no, they're not. They're really nice.
Yeah, they're just supporting me.
Yeah, get out of here. He's my real friend. Yeah. Right? And then they're going to feel just like it's not going to help anything, right?
Yeah.
One is a consumer, one is a capitalist, and the others are saying like, oh my God, how can you not see that? Right? Like, that's what it is. And we've all been there at one point in our lives. I've dated the girl that all my friends have said, dude, why? You know,
I feel like everyone I've dated, I've future me has been like, what were you thinking? But
been there, done that. Like, we're all guilty of attempting to make our lives better. And it just sucks that it's in a public playground sometimes. But just, man, everybody's got their own problems. So don't call anybody a simp incel virgin, but at the same time, don't ban simp incel virgin Twitch.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
That's it, right? Like, it all comes back to the just don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Just don't be a dick unless it's someone that you know is okay with it. Like,
we love to be parented though, man. We love it. We love to be parented. We need mom and dad. That's what our generation needs.
I differ. I know when you say we, you don't mean you and I, but just us.
I definitely do not mean me.
Yeah, I know.
I can't wait to get away from that shit. Sorry, mom, dad, I love you, but like, you already know.
Yeah, dude, this comes back to the whole thing we were talking about at the start with people needing an opiate, needing it's a diversion from freedom and the sort of emptiness that entails, right? Something else I've been thinking lately in the streaming life, the streaming biz,
the biz
is this idea of taking care of yourself. I have seen in many people's streams the hydrate redemption.
I hate it. People try to drown me, but it's good.
Well, yeah, I mean, it gets used. It obviously gets manipulated and used for the wrong reason. But the underlying thought behind that, I've realized sometimes I will go an entire stream and not drink, or not eat, or not be prepared for a stream because I didn't get enough sleep because I stayed up too much the night beforehand researching things or being in other people's streams. And how are you finding personally how are you dealing with the fact that Twitch is kind of a world that never sleeps?
That's a really fucking good question. And that's a really good question, man, because it's really hard. It's also really hard having friends all over the world
Yeah.
that you want to be a part, I genuinely want to be in these people's lives and in their streams and hanging out and conversing. And whenever I do, I feel really at home with them. But like,
Yep.
fuck, man, Agus-kun starts streaming at like 6 a.m. my time and stops by like 10. Like,
that's a tough time. I basically will see no streams in that time slot for me.
Exactly. So that's really hard. And whenever I am awake, because I got one of those weird sleeping schedules sometimes, I'm in there and I want to be, but like, it's really tough, man. I feel like I've discovered between 2 a.m., which is when Audax typically stops streaming, till about 6 a.m., there's nobody I know online. So I feel like, okay, I better go to bed or else I'm fucked. But then I miss so many people that I want to hang out with and be a part of. And I find myself missing out on inside jokes because I'm not a part of, like it's a really tough thing to be a part of because it's 24/7. And I feel bad sometimes and sometimes I don't, but yeah, Twitch is such a fucking strange thing, man, for me. Like, it has taken me over like no social media platform has ever taken me over. And man, it is social media.
I've barely been invested in any of them up until now.
Right, yeah. And I mean, yeah, exactly. I had Facebook when it started, and I did the Facebook thing in my 20s kind of thing,
Yeah.
That's funny. Isn't it, sorry to go off on a tangent, but isn't it like so clear that Facebook has completely changed? Like, it is nothing like it used to be.
I'll be perfectly honest. I haven't really spent enough time on Facebook to notice anything in probably about 2 or 3 years.
It's all just like event advertisements now. It's all just that. Like, it used to be a real social place, like where people would post their pictures and their whatever. Yeah, now it's just all
people are
like,
not doing that anymore.
Well, it's Instagram now.
Right. Yeah.
So,
yeah, no, that makes sense. And people are always going to gravitate to the one. I feel like people will have multiple. People are down with multiple forms of social media, but they're always going to try and place it in a box of this is for that, this is for that, and there's no real reason to have two that perform the same function, right?
Yep. Yeah. But Twitch has really been something where I feel like it's where I've met the most friends that I didn't know before. And I get to interact with them. And not only in text, and not only me looking at their text, but also precisely what we're doing right now, or hanging out. Like, I've had just hangout calls with multiple people.
This is doing these things is sometimes one of my favorite things that I do in the week. Well, it's always one of my favorite things, but it's one of the favorite things that I do related to Twitch. Just being able to just unwind and just discuss things at length with no real structure with another person who I met on this platform.
Yeah.
It's my IRL friend. It's kind of weird saying that. It implies that it's kind of a different tier of friends. Our friendship's not real, Cranberry.
Exactly.
Your
friendship with your IRL friend is not.
It's not real on Twitch anyway. He does not matter. Came to stay last night. He's staying here for a few days, and he's, it's been like nearly a year since we've seen each other, so we're just rattling back and forth all the things that have been happening and that we're excited about. And he has been getting really into cyber currencies.
Oh yeah, maybe.
He has a bunch of, because he works in web design, and he has a bunch of like smart nerd friends who just know shit and get shit done and make a lot of money on these kind of things. So like he got the tip from a few people and went in on this program, and he's telling me about all this stuff, and I'm understanding about half of it and enjoying the enthusiasm of the other half that I didn't understand. It's a good conversation. The one sort of thing that I took from it though is like, oh wow, like as he's watching this thing rise and plummet and thinking about where it's going to peak and talking about like the mass consciousness and how it's all about human emotion, greed, and fear basically driven. The thing that really stuck with me is this isn't Wall Street, because Wall Street closes for the day.
Oh yeah.
This doesn't close. This is 24 hours. And so in that, it very much reminded me of the Twitch experience, where you might have your work days, or your hobby days, or your play days, or however you refer to it or think of it, of like an 8-hour window or 4-hour window or whatever.
Yep.
But it doesn't stop. There's not there's business doesn't close. There's, that's really exciting in a way, but it's also a little bit, I think it can lead people to some problems.
Of course it can. Yeah, no. How do I not relate this to Cyberpunk 2077?
It's impossible. Relate away.
Yeah,
Relate
exactly.
away.
That's literally my thought process at that point. Like, oh, I think that game touches on that too, right? Like, this is... I am not a staunch socialist by any means, but I tend to lean very left. So take with that what you will in my criticisms, my forthcoming criticisms. This is a fantastic way for corporations to make sure that they're always making money. And we buy into that, because the early bird gets the worm. But if there's no such thing as early, then, we can always be chasing the worm.
And is there really a worm?
Oh, there is.
I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Sorry.
Well, because I was gonna say, and I think I'm very Western, probably Protestant driven in this way that I think talking about money in public and on stream is not a smart thing. But I will say that I doubled my investment on Bitcoin this year just by letting it sit there. And that was a lot of money, and it was like, yeah, this guy's onto something. But eventually it will just become the norm, right?
Like many things, yeah.
Like banking, right? It's just get in on it. Yeah, I think it's pretty smart. But yeah, man, to get back to your original question about 24-hour, it's a way to keep business open and keep business running all the time. And I think it may be seen slightly as a bit of a warning call that they're seeing a shift. Twitch understands. So there's been talk about Dr. Disrespect and Ninja and a couple other big name streamers that we all know the names of, starting their own streaming service.
Do it.
That's
good.
What people have been saying. Do it, because these people, this was in talks before Dr. Disrespect. Yeah, Dr. Disrespect got banned for a reason that we still don't know.
Don't know, and I don't think we ever will now.
And I'm starting to believe him when he says he doesn't know, because he's remaining to this day that he doesn't know the reason.
Yeah, my guess is money. I don't know exactly in which way, but something about money.
He's a guy who is hyper masculine. His subscribers are called gentlemen, like it's the gentleman's club. When they follow, he gives them a firm handshake. That's what he says. Like,
okay, yeah.
He's pretty,
He's not like what is the desired archetype of a leading Twitch streamer, probably from the people who run the platform.
I bet you when he kills somebody in Call of Duty, he calls them a simp virgin.
I bet he does too. So
anyway, there's been a lot of talk about those guys taking their money that they got, because Doc got 10 million when he signed with Twitch exclusive, and then they cut him off a year later. He got to keep all the money. they've got a lot of money, right? Because Ninja signed for 25 million on Mixer, and then Mixer shut down. Like, these guys are sitting on money and time and opportunity.
Yeah.
And they're thinking to themselves, like, let's get into the streaming game. Fuck it. We can make a ton of money and we can run it our way.
I mean, they understand the platform.
They are, normally I would be like, fuck, you guys are just opportunists. But say what you will about Ninja, that guy explodes on stream. You fucking loser! Like, all the time. Like, they get what it is, right? They get that people want to watch people streaming and playing games. They want to watch us react the way we react. They want to watch us say what we say.
Mm-hmm.
They want a place to get away from the world that isn't this like censorship thing, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I hope they do it because, man.
Yeah. Well, I just hope in the, just because competition is good. Competition breeds creativity and it breeds a need to get better.
But good competition, right? Like, not just like we're going to allow another Microsoft into this. Like,
yeah.
Like, no, that's not competition. That's just like, that's a fucking one step away from a coalition, right? Like,
you know, the fucked up thing though is like, well, maybe not the fucked up thing, but what I imagine is the reality is if they do it and it fails, then okay, they do it and it fails. If they do it and it succeeds and it's really good for whatever reasons that they've innovated, it's eventually just going to get bought out anyway. And
maybe
everyone has a price.
Yes, except Google and Facebook, because no one can afford their price. So the game is, do you get how hard can we go there, right?
Yeah.
If Bezos bought Twitch and Bezos can get to where Bezos is, but this streaming thing that is, fuck, man, it's new TV. If you haven't realized it, it's new TV. So if you can capitalize on new TV, right? Like look at the way Netflix is handling their shit. Like, there's been Disney Plus that has taken over tons of Netflix's library potential, and all these other streaming services that have taken away tons of their either current library or library potential. Netflix is still number one.
Why is that, do you think?
Because they just keep doing what they do, right? They just keep putting up as whatever they can, right? It's not a curated thing. This is not a Disney, like, whatever. This is, we just put up shit we can.
Yep.
All the time. It works, right? It runs at high, like, HD. The shit works all the time.
I think they also got into the zeitgeist, you know, in the same way that people say Kleenex for tissue and Coke for cola. They got in the language game. They like got
Netflix and chill.
Yeah, where it becomes a verb, right? When when your brand is a verb, you win.
Yeah, just Netflix it. Just Google it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I still think that, like, there's a reason they became that. And it's just like there's a reason Google became that, right? Like,
they didn't just do it by accident, I agree.
Yeah, there's a reason that Kleenex became that. It's the best.
Absorbent.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's room to do it, and I think there's room to not be bought out. But yes, you're right. Everybody has a price.
The amount of people I've run into, the amount I've learned about myself, the amount of like hard lessons I've gotten, for instance, like don't stream Demon Souls when the new one releases.
Yeah.
I wonder if it continues this way. So my question, I guess, my open-ended question is, do you think that this time next year, assuming we're both still doing it, do you think the second year has as many lessons, or do you think it's more of a year of refinement? Or like, do you think this is something that you ever get fully on top of? I asked about 7 questions there. Feel free to pick whichever one you like.
The last one seems to be the most pertinent. Yeah, I do. And I do going forward. I hmm. I find I find this to be something akin to what I did with music in my 20s. And it was enjoyable in this way. It was mine in this way.
Mm.
And I'm good at it.
Mm.
To a certain, I'm not trying to fucking blow air into my asshole here and say that
Blow
I'm
that
better
shit.
than anybody.
Blow it.
I'm saying that I've had enough feedback from people to say, I've had enough people say to me, man, I've tried streaming, but like, I'm not as good as you at reading the chat and talking. I'm not as good. Like, I can't, like, clearly there's something there that I'm good at. So like, and it feels like I'm good at it. So it's like, okay.
You're great at it, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, and I'm not even fishing. I'm just saying it's like,
I know.
you know, it when it feels right kind of thing. So yeah, the answer to your question, yeah. See this, I can see a huge future for this. And I think no matter how big it gets, it's something that I'll do forever.
Yeah, I really like it too. I really like it. I don't always.
Yeah, no, me neither.
But that's anything. That's anything.
Yeah.
That's anything. You know, that's anything.
Yes, it is.
The greatest, I can guarantee you, Michael Jordan had days where he woke up and there was a part of him where he didn't want to go play.
Yeah.
He always did it because I'm sure his insatiable will for greatness wouldn't allow him to take that day off. But you know what I mean? Like
I do, yeah.
I really do enjoy it. In many ways, it reminds me of teaching. In that it's not that I'm a teacher. I don't try to I don't think of myself as knowing more. You know, my human history has taught me that chat knows much more than I do on a lot of matters. And everybody
knows more than but that's the thing. We're all humans with limited capacity. We all know than another person does.
Right, because of how you choose to spend your time and what you get invested in.
Correct, yeah.
And well, but that's the great thing as well, right? Like, it's not so much necessarily that even one person will know more than me on a specific subject, but if you get 15, 20 people, that collective group will be a source of real information, you know? Where of that collective group, 2 might be really well versed in ancient Egypt. Or 2 might have
the Mesopotamians,
the Mesopotamian knowledge, you know. But no one knows shit about the Indus Valley. How about that? No one knows shit about that. Did you know that no one can know? So the Indus Valley people, apparently, no one has deciphered their script.
Where is that? I know nothing.
So the Indus Valley was in the region, I believe. Check it out and fact check me here. So Egypt, and then you got Mesopotamia's up the road, north of Egypt, and then to the northwest, I believe was I believe the Indus Valley might have been Iran kind of region, but they.
Yeah, it looks like Pakistan.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So probably a little more, I guess that's a little more east, but
a little more east, but yeah, not too much, just past Afghanistan.
But they had whole city structures and really well orchestrated, what seemed to be a well orchestrated society and a really sophisticated society. But according to this book I've been reading, no one can really figure it out because no one's figured out their language yet. Still people haven't figured out their language.
But there's got to be some sort of how long ago did they?
Oh shit! This would have been I'm terrible with dates, even though I've read it.
Are we talking ancient Egypt times?
It must be 3000 BC, I'd say, something like that.
Incredible.
Yeah, and people just haven't figured this shit out. It's stunning to me. It's bewildering.
Wow.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, they look like they reached just to sort of the mountain range are separating them from China. Incredible.
But so when I do these things, chat is kind of, that can be like a knowledge point for me, and I love that.
Yeah.
And so it's not teaching. So that's why I mean it's kind of different to teaching in that way. But the thing that I think is very similar to teaching is that it's sort of this like nebulous thing where from one day to another, I can be like, man, I get it. I can do this. I'm really good at it. I have these great interactions with people who I like having round. I've never been great at gaming, that doesn't matter, but I'm able to like play games and have fun with people. I'm improving. I feel like I'm on top of this. And then the next day, I'm a joke. I'm terrible. I can't do this. I should quit. And that's how I felt my entire teaching career. Like, you never master it.
Of course.
You never master
That's how I felt my entire cooking career. Yeah.
Really? Really? That's interesting.
One day you get compliments on the roast beef. It's the best they've ever tasted, right? Like that tartare was amazing. The next day, you are in it for 8 hours of absolute garbage. Nothing comes out right. So-and-so got food poison. Like, it's like you can't do it right every single day.
Yeah. And that leads to something to strive for. There's always a way to be better. But it's sort of like a self-undermining thing, because once you realize that, you realize no matter how much you improve and get better, you'll always have days where you feel like you're trash.
Absolutely.
How do you deal with that? Do you ever feel bad after stream?
I was about to shake my. How do I feel bad about? How do I deal? Yeah, no, I absolutely do. Yes, I think it was yesterday. I said I streamed for 2 people for 3 hours, and I ended up rating you. I think because like just at the end, I got 8 people. Just at the end, right? And I was like, let's go. Yeah, exactly, that's right. Yeah. And I felt like I felt really dejected, and I thought to myself afterwards, I was like, man, I shouldn't feel bad. Like I'm streaming Cyberpunk. Either people have a million options to watch that, or they don't want to watch it because they want to play the game, right? There's a million reasons not to watch Cyberpunk. And there's other days where I just feel like, maybe I'm not engaging enough. Maybe I'm too short with people, like.
I thought you were going to say I'm too short. Just
no.
Maybe aren't you like 6'3" or something?
You boys, I know I'm 6'1". I'm 6'1", 216 now. I'm like, no, I'm good. Don't worry. I'm intimidating enough to walking down the street. Yeah. No. It's just I feel a bit short with people. I feel like I don't have the ability to take a joke.
What do you mean by that?
If people are just kind of ribbing me a little bit about doing something, then I'm always just like, okay, like, cool, haha, funny, you're funny, right? Like I overreact too much. Sometimes I feel like I'm on edge, and it's just and then afterwards I think like, man, it was just a joke. Like, calm down, right? But you can't be perfect every day. We're just humans, and it's exhausting. And I've said this before. I probably said this the last time. Sometimes streaming is exhausting.
In a weird way, because I often don't notice it until. Oh, excuse me.
Bless you.
There's usually a second one. Where is it?
I hope there's not 4, because in Japan that's death.
I've never sneezed more than 3 times in my life.
I'm gonna remember that.
In my life, I never have. 3 is a blowout. It's usually 2. 3 is what's going on.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know why. But Jesus Christ, we were talking about
the exhaustion.
The exhaustion of streaming. And yeah, I tend to not notice it until afterwards. I'll be like, yeah, in that mode, going, getting it done. Da 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 da, ba ba ba, bada bing, bada boom. All the functions, that kind of mindset you get into. and then raid stream and just go oh, and just like kind of like melt into the chair, or get to my feet and just feel weak physically, which is yeah, it's crazy. It is exhausting. Do you feel like it's a good exhaustion? You know, that good exhaustion? Yeah.
Sometimes halfway through my week, if I feel exhausted on my first couple streams or something, and then it's like midweek, then I don't know, out of nowhere my dad will call, say like, hey, I need a hand building a shelf for my garage. Then I'll just feel like I'm tired, man. Like, and to be fair, I was also doing, this last semester. So it always felt like you get up, it's either, sit in this chair, but it's either university work or it's streaming.
Right. And everything is in the chair.
12 hours later, I'm still here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, that there's something about that feels incredibly exhausting. And that's why I started doing exercise. That's why I started exercising and eating better around September time, was just because it was like, man, I tell you, if I go out there, I can barely do a chin up. But if I go out there and try to do a chin up and I barely make one, then I'm like, okay, your boy's back, right?
Yeah,
like,
we doing this.
Yeah, fuck. Like, let's go find something to fuck. Like,
grab it and fuck it.
Exactly.
Reminds me of some of those shirts from today. What was that?
Oh my god.
Oh fuck, man. That
meta bitch. And what did it say? Fuck, I don't know. It's on the way.
Daddy or something. What is it like?
Yeah,
it's
on the way. Daddy? So juice me up, daddy. Yeah.
I might have to just get the same shirt. Like,
you should.
I just, here's the thing, right? Of the two, and for those who we were playing the Jackbox Party Pack today. For those who don't know, and there's a it's the third version. There's a T-shirt design game, which I actually didn't. It turned out much funnier than I expected it to be.
Yeah,
and
I was not into it until we started seeing some applications.
Yeah. Once people started drawing dicks and it became okay that we were going to continue drawing dicks, it really just like ascended.
If we go back to talking about our original conversation about whether people need God, as this thing,
let's go back to that. I'm ready to be back there.
This is a good wrap up. God, as is often envisioned, can only be as wise as the person who is envisioning it, because that's all you can possibly conceive as far as wisdom is concerned. So, as are our music tastes, and as are our video game tastes. But it's important to understand that just because we have more information and more wisdom does not necessarily make our opinions right. But I think what remains true, what I believe in, is that all of these things can only be informed by what we have learned and what we know.
Which is why I'm not convinced there was a moon landing. Because I wasn't there. Because I wasn't there to see it. No, I'm just shitting you. But
that's good, man.
But honestly, no. I hear you. And look, that's a take that, or not a take. That's sort of being a little bit dismissive of it. That's a perception or a viewpoint that I think I take into a lot of life as well, with a lot of things. I don't like to think that I know things definitively. I don't believe that's possible. I do have strong opinions, however, but I don't think those opinions are always liable to change if there's better evidence, or if I become able to see more or able to understand something more. And that's actually where I kind of hit a point in many of these conversations, like the if we were to continue going back and forth about this idea that I brought up, by the way, about someone rejecting a god, it fascinates me. It fascinates me intellectually, but then I get to a point where I'm like, it is unreachable. There is only just things to talk about around it. There is only concepts to sort of unpack and sort of delve into. But ultimately, I do not believe I can get to any truth on almost anything.
Yeah, I agree. And a lot of people will say to that, yes, so therefore talk as if that is irrelevant. You know what I mean? Like like scientists, for instance, would say, no, we have to go with what we know currently.
Yep.
And so therefore, like there's a lot of people who would say like it's irrelevant because, where I think it's strong. I have a strong position that says it's the most relevant possible thing.
Yeah.
Especially when you're not doing science. When you're just talking.
Yeah, we're just talking shit.
Yeah.
But it keeps life interesting. A sense of wonder. A sense of unknown for me,
That's why I decided to study philosophy. I mean, like that's like the sense of wonder is the forgotten element in today's society. If you go back to the 70s, there were 100 bands like Led Zeppelin.
Mm-hmm.
But Led Zeppelin made it out. We don't remember them, right? There were 100 bands like the Eagles. One that comes to mind is America, who wrote the song. Yeah, I've been through the desert with a horse. Popular fucking song.
Good song. It's a good song.
Yeah,
actually.
it's a great song, but you don't know any other song from them. Nobody else does. And actually, half the people I say that to think it's the Eagles. Yeah. So there are people who will have prevailing ideas in a sea of counter ideas. And I think the wanderers will always win, because it's the wanderers who will bring us to the next level of where we start to think about how do we decipher this thing that we've wandered our way into. Not wandered our way into, but wandered our way into.
Wait, not wandered, but wandered?
Well, or both.
No, I just couldn't hear the difference between the words.
yeah, that's my accent.
Nice. No. I mean, I think I always thought of that as innovators and imitators, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think the innovators are always wanderers. Sorry.
Fuck you. No, I'm confused. Yeah, that's really interesting. And to try and tie this in, and this is definitely the messiest content episode. This will be the messiest content episode.
I'm happy to be a part of messy content.
You've been a part of it. And I don't think we've actually really, I don't know. I don't think we've really completed any conversation we've gone to, but that doesn't matter. That's the point. There is no completion.
Cares?
There is no end to this shit. But in an attempt to loosely tie this all together, when we talk about innovation, wandering, and a sense of wonder, how have you been going in terms of, or what's been going on for you? You don't have to give anything away if it's a secret, but so I was talking with Blue Guy last week, and he kind of got me really excited with some of his ideas and how he's really fascinated with this idea of an integration of storytelling and some of the ways he's thinking of, or he has like the birth of ideas on how to sort of innovate how he uses this platform, which I think is a really exciting thing to do. And I know you're a similar sort of kind, always, you're an ideas person as well. How's that been for you lately? Have you been sort of in more of a repetition of getting better at a thing, or have you been also thinking of new ideas that are coming up for you, or like putting those on the back burner? What's that kind of balance for you right now?
It's very difficult because I just completed a semester of university and
Yeah.
put a lot of my mind into that. But at the same time, what I am learning at university is informing everything that I think about in the world, and that's why I'm taking it. Much to my parents' chagrin. Well, not my parents. I shouldn't say that. My mom might watch this, and she has been nothing but supportive. But
Your mom's
um,
awesome. I know her through Twitch.
oh,
She's great.
she's she's the greatest. But it's been tough. You know, I feel like I haven't had much time to myself other than doing Twitch. Ask me again in a week.
Yeah. Well, how long have you been off for?
Week.
Yeah. That is a question for a week. When you have
Yeah, this is why, man. I've been more tired in the last month, just finishing up finals and all that. My sleeping schedule's all over the place because this is the problem with online school, guys. Is that assignments are due at midnight. So when are you going to submit them? At midnight, right? Anybody with half a sense of cool submits their assignments at the end of the deadline.
Unfollowed, unsubbed.
Yeah, so whereas normally during the school year, I'm in bed by 10:30 to get up at 7 and, you know, eat my breakfast and get going to the university for the day. Now I'm like, fuck it. There's a lecture that I don't actually have to be at. It's pre-recorded. I can sleep until 1.
Yeah.
You know, and
never.
Yeah. Ask me again in a week.
When I was at uni, I did a this probably speaks volumes about who I am and why I turned out the way I am. I did one single specific unit that I signed up for. Perhaps I think it was in first or second year. I don't remember exactly. Turned out to be entirely online. I didn't know about this shit, by the way, at the time. This is like in what is this? This is 2011, 2010 or something like that. I didn't know it was going to be online. It wasn't very well advertised. And then I found I'd already signed up for it. It's too late. Okay. And that was the critical thinking. Of course, right? The critical thinking. And I'm like, whatever, it's going to be online. I think my final score for that unit was about 4% because I did
Jesus.
Well, it's not that I failed to
learn critical thinking.
I just stopped doing it. I'm like, well, I'm not gonna do this shit. Like,
it's incredibly hard.
I was so disengaged, and that was in a time that was, you know, this is like 7-8 years ago when we're far less. It sounds like it's still hard today to do, but like then I was like, what the fuck out of here. Like, I'm just going to do the ones where it just didn't feel real to me, you know? So like, I can only imagine how hard it is to do an entire semester of online study. That's
it's really shit. And ask my brother, because he took 6 courses.
Your brother's a madman. He does like multiple disciplines at once.
You know, he has a degree in philosophy and psychology.
Yeah.
Trying to get into pharmaceuticals and neuropsychology.
He's insane. He's one of those people that are so, you can just tell that he's operating on another level. Like when I speak with him, it's not that we can't communicate. We had a great chat.
No. I watched it. It was really good.
I really like your brother, and he's really easy and fun to chat to. But there's times where I can just tell that he's like operating on just a slightly different level, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know him as my brother.
By different, I mean higher, by the way, if that wasn't clear.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, I won't say a good or a bad thing about my brother. It's my brother. I've known him my entire life. Actually, I'll say nothing but good things. He is he is an incredibly intelligent guy.
Yep.
His capacity for learning is and capacity for knowledge is beyond anybody I've ever met in my entire life, and that goes to this day. When I ask him, why the fuck would you take 6 courses? He says, it's the only way I know how to do it.
Yeah.
Right? And that makes more sense to me than anything. It's the only way I know how to do school is by fucking putting myself all the way into it.
Yeah, I guess that's how we operate in the ways that sort of are most fitting for us. In the same sense that the only way I know how to do a content episode is to just fire it up and bumble
drink
through
and
that
smoke,
shit.
baby.
Yeah. So, by the time this is out there, and I'm not sure when this is going to get put out there because I'm probably going to be working on another thing we're doing. So I
do know that you've got yourself a busy couple weeks coming.
I think this is going to come up. This will probably come out after.
I would imagine so.
This is probably going to be on the back burner for a little bit.
Yeah, it's a bit more properly placed that way too. It's a new year.
A new year, get started. That's how I'm feeling. Yeah. But
well, then edit this in. Happy New Year, Porto. Welcome to 2021. And then just chop it into the rest of the conversation right there.
Yeah, man. By the time this drops as well, we will have done. I just realized this content thing, this big spectacular, is a couple of days away. So I'm not giving any spoilers by talking about it with you now because it's going to be released after the fact. Yeah. So I was looking at what we're going to do, which is like game of the year, least favorite game, game you wanted to get around to, this, that, and the other. And I've chosen mine, and I won't talk about them now. But it was a little bit tricky for me in some of them. In a good way. Did you find it clear cut, and did you select just one for every category? Yes. You did? Yes. Oh, okay. I might have
yes, but not because I think that I needed to, but because I wanted to be final about it.
Yeah. That's fair.
I will mention, well, whatever, I'll tell you now. I'll mention that it was tough when Cyberpunk came out because this has been such a good gaming experience for me.
Yeah.
But I didn't cry and I didn't get shivers like I did when I played Final Fantasy VII.
Did Final Fantasy VII bring you to tears?
Yeah, when I first heard that opening, when I saw the opening scene,
and like overwhelmed.
Oh, and the sound design in my headphone, and I can't deal with this. I can't do it. Like, it's actually here, right? I'm about to like explore Midgar the way I've wanted to forever.
For years, yeah.
It just it didn't this and part of that is just learned, right? But Cyberpunk, I'll say it to you now, but don't put this on. Is the best game I've played, maybe ever, but I don't know about that.
It's going to be so interesting to see your take on it in 6 months.
Yes,
because it could go one of a few ways. Probably go about.
Apparently, that next year they're releasing. Oh well, who knows? Apparently, they're releasing a multiplayer version of this. So, some sort of it's going to be an add-on. Some sort of.
Going to be GTA.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think it is going to be because I think they know that the Cyberpunk fans don't want that. Yeah. I think what it's going to be is a lot more like mission-based things where you're going to have to get your players with different hacking abilities and whatever.
Right, get like a team. Maybe they do kind of like an MMO RPG style thing.
That's what I think it's going to be, but it's going to be more like, I bet you it would be more like 4 players max in the world. Right? So it's like a Minecraft thing where your buddies can come into this world that you've created with their characters, but like the goal is not going to be to like who can fuck up the world as much as they can. If you want to do that with your 4-person team, then go ahead. But I don't think that's going to be the goal. The goal is going to be getting in each other's cars, going to do drive-by missions, going to do, and actually they'll probably have story missions, which GTA did too, but you'll do them with your friends.
Well,
it'll give you a chance to live out your character, I think.
They've put so much into that world and so much to that. They've invested so much time into people becoming so invested in that world that it sort of seems like a waste for them to just leave it at a... Well, it seems a little bit wasteful for them to not take more of make more of the opportunity, right? And give people...
Well, the nice thing is that The Witcher 3 had 2 massive expansions. One of which, I think Blood and Wine, or Blood and Steel, or whatever it's called, was bigger than the original game.
Right.
So like, it's no doubt that they're going to do tremendously huge things with this world. How they implement multiplayer is, I have my theories, but it's anyone's guess.
Yeah. Going to be interesting to see,
but
regardless.
There's something about it that just makes me feel like they respect Cyberpunk too much to make it just GTA.
Well, and they probably know that the fans do too.
Well, I think so. And I think time will... I think a lot of the outrage right now is that it's... I know that Zacharyson came into my chat and said, what are the collision mechanics like? And I was like, pretty much nothing. Like, this is not GTA. And he was like, oh, I don't think I'll buy it then. Like...
Right. Yeah, I think it almost feels like there's 2 types of people that are looking at it, right? Or there's like the division between the RPG people and the GTA people, because it does on the surface look like a GTA in that it is kind of like Los Angeles. It kind of looks a little bit like GTA 5.
And you drive around and you shoot all over the city. Like, yeah, no, like I get the...
But it's not though. It isn't though. Like it feels like it was made by... I mean, it was made by people who made The Witcher, but by what was it? Project Red? Is that what they called it?
CD Projekt Red. Yeah,
I knew that. It feels to me first and foremost an open world RPG. It just happens to be that the cyberpunk aesthetic and the cyberpunk world would be a driving in cars type world, a la a GTA.
It has to be that way, and GTA is. That's the thing, right? Like the cyberpunk genre has been around since the 60s.
Yeah.
So we've seen a lot of culture such as GTA or fucking Blade Runner or Fallout. All of these things have been inspired by this genre, right?
Absolutely.
What they call 5 minutes into the future. That's what Cyberpunk's creator says, right?
Completely. And look, you know what I think maybe the cyberpunk... I don't want to say the way they fucked up, because I don't think they fucked up. You're calling it one of your favorite games of all time, and I think it's going to be a financial and overall a critical wild success. But in terms of the GTA being mistaken for a GTA, you know where I think they kind of... I don't know. I don't want to say fucked up, but where the wires get crossed a little bit is in that it feels like Los Angeles. It feels to me like LA, and I get that that's a great vibe for a cyberpunk game. I get that it works in the game. Like if you just put the game in a vacuum, it works perfectly. But in the context of GTA 5 being the highest grossing game of all time,
and it's everywhere and everyone knows it.
Everyone knows it's everywhere, and people compare everything,
Yep.
Say they had have based it off like a New York even. Or a Chicago, another big city that's just a little bit different. Although it's completely different, like it is. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it feels maybe the fact, because when I remember watching it in your stream and being like, oh, is this based off LA? I didn't think GTA at the time, but I just felt like, oh, this feels like a depiction of like a futuristic LA, and I don't think it explicitly is, but I think it kind of implicitly is in a way. that might have like drawn some of the weird comparisons where it, you know, some people feel of it as that kind of game where I don't think it was intended to be that way.
Well, CD Projekt Red has openly said that they plan to follow the Rockstar model.
Oh.
And what they mean by that is they mean to say they will put out games that they work on that can have, you know, like The Witcher, they worked on that for 4 years, right? Like they released 2 free expansions.
Sick.
Cool. Yeah, no, they're a good company that way, but like they want to work on a game that they want to have a game that they can add to rather than put out a new game every 2 years, right? And so I think that, yeah, you know, Night City is a place in the cyberpunk universe that has been created for years. I think it is an obvious choice for a game, but it draws unparalleled parallels to GTA.
Yeah.
But it, you know, my defense of the game, and yeah, I'm a fanboy, I am, but my defense of the game is play it, and anybody who's played an RPG, and this is why I keep telling you that you'll like it. And I know that you'll like it. I know that. I know. I just tease you about playing 10-year-old games only.
It's just economic, man.
No, I get that. I get that.
Like it. I'll definitely like it.
The reason I think you'll like it is because it's a true RPG, right? Like it plays like a true RPG, and it's and I think they really hit the nail on the head with this one. It doesn't take much time to realize that it's not a GTA.
Well, what I know is that I felt like I was worried because before it came out, in the weeks leading up with all the hype, I was worried for, not like on a deep level, but like a little worried for like people like you and Trout and Agus and people who are really excited about it. I think, yeah, I was worried because I felt that, well, Jesus, this is like, I can see the cataclysm coming. I can see how we're setting ourselves up for failure here. The weird thing is, though, after it's been released, I feel like I've had a more positive reception to it than a lot of people I've interacted with who aren't in love with it. Like, it's become very divisive because it's so big, as things tend to do, right? Like, you either love or hate something that dominates the lexicon, rather. But my perception of it, I've really enjoyed what I've seen. Like, it looks great.
Yeah. You know, again, I think if you haven't played RPGs before, I mean, I played Skyrim at launch. Skyrim still has people falling through the floor. It's one of the most appreciated games of all time.
Yeah.
A lot of these bugs just don't bother me. Like, they're just like,
Doesn't
really?
matter.
We're writing articles about this? Like, where have you guys been the last 20 years? Every video game I've played on this scale and scope has been like this.
Do you think it would take... What would it take to have a Cyberpunk or a Skyrim minus bugs? Like, how much extra time of development? I know that this is us just pissing in the wind here. We don't really know. But, like, what do you reckon, though?
Couple more years. They announced that they were making this game in 2012.
Fucking wait, is that when Keanu came out? That wasn't 2012.
No, Keanu came out in 2018.
Okay, I was gonna say, I swear to God, it hasn't been 8 years. Okay.
But they built a brand new engine for the game, right? Like most people use Unreal or whatever, right? They built the game. This is a ground up type game that only uses CD Projekt Red technology, other than I think Havoc engine for physics. But like, this is a labor of love. And you can play, when you're playing it, you can see that it's there. And I think they knew that. And I think their investors just said, you have to release this before Christmas. You have to, because we need our money back.
Art and commercialism, or art and commerce, right?
But how do you create a world this big without money?
That's the constant struggle. That's the constant struggle, right? How do you do the thing that can become great without money? How can you become great with the pressures of the people with money.
Totally.
I like, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's because I didn't put any money into this game. I'm not as. Are people mad? Are people like mad at Project Red? Is that what's going on?
Big time. Huge. So much that they had to offer refunds. Right? Like that's unprecedented. People real mad at this. People were review bombing at Metacritic.
I got a suggestion for people who are mad. And this is not coming at you, because you know, I know you won't care anyway. I got a suggestion: don't pre-order games.
I mean,
wait till they come
that
out
is the lesson,
and see how they are.
That is the lesson. Don't pre-order your game.
Just see how they are.
Not.
Because, like, I get that you're hyped. It's still. Look, maybe don't do it. Maybe I should backpedal a little bit, and say, like, you can do it. I get why you'd want to do it, but that is part of the territory of pre-ordering games.
Yep.
Is that you expose yourself to whatever bullshit will happen, and we all know that day one launches of consoles, day one launches of big games, this is not a new story.
If you don't know, that's your problem at this point, is what I say.
Yeah,
like that's you're being an uninformed consumer, and I have no sympathy.
Yeah, don't go swimming in a river in the northwest of Australia and then cry to Hades when you get eaten by a crocodile. Like, that's just that's Precisely. What happens when you go there.
Yeah. So I applaud them for giving refunds.
Yeah, that's really cool. I respect that. That's awesome.
But they've said, like, they've said in their tweets and in their news statements, hold on to it, because we're releasing 2 massive patches, one in January, fix these issues for you guys. Right?
As a Switch player, that happens a lot. So, like, a lot of the ports that come to Switch, for example, the Outer Worlds, examples are escaping, but it happens a lot. A lot of, like, high-powered or higher graphically more powerful games that people thought couldn't be ported to the Switch. They often come to the Switch and they release, and it's like, it's a fucking mess. But there's this YouTube channel I subscribe to called Switch Up, and they do a very good job of just covering this Switch games. They're kind of almost like a new age, contemporary version of like an old gaming mag. And they talk about new releases and they review games. But one thing that they do, which I really appreciate, is they do like games that, like, were ported and are terrible. They when fixes and patches come through, they will actually acknowledge those and sometimes do a video about if a game is now good after the patch. And I think, you know, like, these things can always remedy themselves in ways that we sort of tend to forget, I think.
That's funny you mentioned that. Actually, one of my favorite game reviewers, this is not really related only by name, is a guy named SkillUp. Have you ever heard of SkillUp?
No.
He's an Aussie. Him and his brother have a channel called Layman Gaming that is kind of like light-hearted, silly gaming reviews, but he has an incredible the older brother, forget his name, has a channel called SkillUp where he releases hour-long video game reviews. Where it's like, I'm about to fucking break this shit down for you guys.
That's
so
cool. I love it.
Oh, I'll link you.
Please do.
He does amazing video game reviews. Very honest.
That's rad.
I think they're based in Melbourne, actually.
Yeah.
So you might know them. You know? Do you know Ralph?
Probably my neighbor. Yeah,
exactly.
Cranberry Pudding, it's been great going a little bit off the rails with you today.
It was a good time, man. Yeah, thanks for having me back.
I always, I love these chats with you. We've had several off the air, and it's always a grand time. We're going to be speaking with each other in a couple of days, so I feel like I should, let you not have to look at my face for, the next 48 hours. My final question for you before you go is, where are you thinking of heading post Cyberpunk? Gaming wise or channel wise?
I think I'm gonna play a game called Tyranny, that I told you about.
Yeah.
Are you gonna play that? You think?
Not if you are. Well, no,
Why not?
I hadn't considered it, but I got it. I got it at the moment you mentioned it. It looks really cool.
Yeah, it looks great. I think I'm gonna try that game out, and I'm gonna do a little bit of experimenting with playing more RPGs, CRPGs, things like that I really like to get, like, I like to dive into, and you know, I was thinking about going back and doing some Final Fantasy again because I can't stay away from that series. I love it.
Got a problem. You're addicted.
I got a problem. Yeah, I do have a problem.
Well, it's a good problem. That's it's an understandable problem.
Yeah. And then from there, we'll just see, man. I have some plans for some more fighting game stuff coming down the pipeline.
See.
I have a plan for a little bit of an interview thing called First to 10 with CranberryPudding.
Yeah. All right.
And it's still in its baby sort of what would you call it?
Infant stage.
Yeah, I'm still fucking its mother, whatever you call it. Like, whatever you say.
No, you told me a little bit about that off the air, and I think it sounds like a really cool idea, actually.
It could be a great way. It could bring people that don't play fighting games. It could bring do play fighting games into it. Like, it could be a fun video to just whoop somebody first, like 10-0.
Just
while asking them
invite
questions
everyone you
get,
really
like,
want to get, and just get them.
Exactly. I thought about having prizes. Like I'm getting some CranberryPudding hats and shirts printed for the new year. You'll be getting one of those for free.
Please, man. I'll wear the shit out of that as long as it fits my big head.
But I have a huge head, so yes. But I thought about, that might be fun in games. If you win, you get a free something. I don't know.
Love it.
And if you lose, then you gotta I don't know, give me a shout out in your channel. I don't know.
You gotta shout me. You gotta promote the fuck out of me.
Exactly, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I like that. I like that integration of casual competitive, and just human interest. That's cool.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see where people see how people answer questions when they're like down 9-0, and they're just like, "Fuck, I gotta win this."
And then you get them 9-0, and that's when you hit them with the hard-hitting question.
Exactly.
What is your thought on DMCA?
So how long have you been playing Tekken? Fuck.
Oh man, dude, thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me, man. It's always a pleasure.
We'll speak real soon, and let's end this thing. And once again, I've gone too long, but I'm gonna cut all of the bullshit, all the stuff we talked about. There's so much we talked about that you can't hear because it's all about simps, and you'll never hear about it, and we're never getting banned. We're like cockroaches, always living, never dying.
Uncut version on onlycrans.com.
That's right, $199.95. My name is Porto, CranberryPudding. Good night and good luck.